Welcome to Open Borders for Growth session. In this panel, we're going to talk about increasing growth in times of austerity. I have very valuable panelists here with me together here. World Economic Forum just came up with the Enabling Trade Report. We'll start with the conclusions of the Enabling Trade Report. Mr. Lawrence here from Professor Dr. Robert Lawrence from Harvard Kennedy School. He consulted the report. So let's begin, Mr. Lawrence. What are the recommendations of the report and what are the results that are outlined in the report?
Well, this report basically looks at trade not only by looking at countries' trade policies, but also by looking at how well their customs work, their regulatory frameworks, their infrastructure, their security. It tries to take a holistic view of what drives international trade. And we provide benchmarks against which countries can compare themselves both within regions and globally. And the bottom line is that the very best countries turn out to be, not surprisingly, Singapore, Hong Kong, and some Scandinavian countries who have very good quality institutions, but also do well in their tariff structure and in their regulatory frameworks. We also find that there are other countries, even developing countries, who do very well. Chile in Latin America would be one. Mauritius would be another country that scores very, very highly. So generally, countries in this region fall into two big camps. The countries in the Gulf have done very well. They've improved. Of course, we think of Dubai, but the UAE, Qatar, Saudi Arabia do well in enabling trade in our index. I think there are also a lot of, and by the way, Georgia also does very well in our index, coming 38th. So for a country at each level of development, it is performing well. I think we also need to be concerned, though, about countries that aren't doing so well. Because if we're going to talk about integration, we need to adopt that broader perspective. And I would say of particular concern as we look into the future are a few BRIC countries. If we look at the Russian Federation, if we look at India, we see there a lot of room for improvement. To be sure, Russia has joined the World Trade Organization, but nonetheless, if we look at their institutional structures, if we look at how poorly their customs are operating, we really see sources for concern. So the bottom line is, and we've issued this report, there are 132 countries, they're rated in all of these dimensions, and it offers opportunities, even for the very strong performers, to see where they rank relatively, and then to think how they can improve.
Turkey in this report ranks 62nd, and Georgia, on the other hand, ranks 38th. And we're lucky to have both of the countries' economy ministers here with us today. Minister Caglayan, I would like to start with you first. What's your answer for Turkey ranking 62nd? And Turkey is located at the heart of the mega region. What's your vision for improving trade in this region?
If we allow me, I'm going to speak Turkish. You can use earphone. Evet, öncelikle şunu ifade etmek istiyorum ki yapılan çalışmayı ülkelerin genel yapısı, fiziki yapısı, nüfusları ve coğrafi yapısıyla beraber de değerlendirmek gerekir. Tabii Türkiye olarak biz de gelmiş olduğumuz seviyeyi önemli, anlamlı bulmakla beraber Türkiye'nin çok daha fazla yatırım ortamını iyileştirmesi, çok daha fazla yatırım yapılabilir bir ülke haline gelmesi için yoğun gayret içindeyiz. Benim bakanlığıma bağlı olarak yatırım ortamını iyileştirme koordinasyon kurulumuz var. Ve bu koordinasyon kurulu yaklaşık 10 yıldır hizmet veriyordu. Ancak yeni dönemde benim bakanlığıma bağlanmasıyla beraber bir kere bu kurulun çalışma biçimini, yapısını değiştirdik. Kurulun üyelerinde yeni değişiklikler, önemli değişiklikler yaptık. Çünkü ben de sanayinin içinden, yatırımın içinden gelen biriyim. bilhassa yatırımcının ve sanayicinin reflekslerini yaşayan biriyim. Yani empati yapmıyorum. Empati yapmama ihtiyaç yok çünkü ben zaten bu işin içinden, doğasından geliyorum. Ve şimdi yeni bir model, yeni bir sistem olarak yatırım ortamı iyileştirme koordinasyon kurulunda bir anlayış birliği içinde olduk. Önemli reformlar yaptık aslında. Tabii Türkiye'yi 10 yıl öncesinden bugünkü seviyeye getirdiğimiz zaman 10 yıl öncesinde ülkemize gelen doğrudan yatırımlar 1 milyar doları geçmezdi yıllık. Ve 1923'te Türkiye Cumhuriyeti kurulmuştu. 1923'ten 2003 yılına geldiğimiz noktada 80 yılda ülkemize gelen toplam uluslararası doğrudan yatırım 14,5 milyar dolardı. Ancak dönemimizde siyasi istikrarın sağlanması ve ekonomik istikrarın sağlanmasıyla beraber Türkiye'ye son 8 yılda 80 yılda gelen doğrudan sermayenin neredeyse 8 katı geldi. Yani biz 80 yılda almış olduğumuz toplam doğrudan yatırımı her yıl almaya başladık. Ve şu an itibariyle Türkiye'ye gelen son 8 yılda toplam doğrudan yatırım miktarı tam 115 milyar dolardır. Yani bu bizim kısa sürede yapmış olduğumuz reformlarla Türkiye olan ilgi alakayı ve bakışı son derece pozitif yönde etkilemiştir. Bu konuda önemli hukuk reformları yaptık. Bankacılık sisteminde önemli, kambiyo rejiminde önemli değişiklikler yaptık. Türkiye bugün sermayenin ve karın serbest transfer edilebildiği bir ülke olmakla beraber etkin bir hukuk sistemine ve bürokrasinin çok fazla azaltılmasına gidecek olan önemli reformları yapmış olduğumuz bir ülke. Daha eksiğimiz var mı? Tabii ki var. Şu anda yatırım ortamı iyileştirme koordinasyon kurulunda gerek kamunun gerek özel sektörün temsilcileriyle birlikte alınmış olan kararları artık bundan böyle yeni sistemde direkt Bakanlar Kurulu'na götürüyoruz ve Bakanlar Kurulu'nda ilgili bakanlara ve bakanlıklara Sayın Başbakanımızın huzurunda verilecek olan bakanlara görevlerle beraber bunları çok daha çabuk yapacağız. Ancak tabii Türkiye'nin parlamento yapısını da bu noktada iyi görmek lazım. Reformları çok çabuk çıkartabildiğimizi söyleyemem. Örneğin Türk Ticaret Kanunu bizim açımızdan son derece önemliydi. Türk Ticaret Kanunu benimle aynı yaştaydı. 1957 doğumlu bir kanundu. Ve biz Türk Ticaret Kanunu geçen yıl değiştirebildik. Ancak güçlü bir iktidar partisi olmamıza rağmen ve Büyük Millet Meclisi'nde %65 çoğunluğa sahip olmamıza rağmen eğer muhalefet desteği olmasaydı 1550 maddelik bir kanunu kısa bir süre içinde çıkartmak mümkün değildi. Yani reformları yapmak için çok önemli hazırlıklarımız, çalışmalarımız var. Fikri ve sinayi mülkiyet haklarından tutun, gerek hukuki anlamda, gerek ekonomik anlamda, gerek mali anlamda birçok alanda çok önemli hazırlıklarımız var. Ancak bizim parlamentomuzun isteği sürecinde muhalefet partileri sayıları az da olsa isterlerse süreci tıkayabiliyorlar. Çünkü parlamentomuzun çalışma sisteminden kaynaklanan bir şey. Yani biz mecliste, parlamentoda çoğunluk olan ve ciddi bir çoğunluk olan hükümet olmamıza rağmen kanunları zaman zaman çıkartmaktan muhalefetin engelinden dolayı gecikebiliyoruz. Bundan dolayı şunu ifade etmek istiyorum ki Türkiye şu anda içinde bulunduğu lojistiğiyle, coğrafi konumuyla ve 29 yaş ortalamasına sahip 75 milyon nüfusuyla bir kere Türkiye kendisi son derece iç pazarı kuvvetli olan bir ülke. Ve Türkiye kendisine 4 saatlik uçuş mesafesinde 56 ülkenin bulunduğu bir coğrafyada ve Avrupa Birliği'nde tam üyelik yolunda önemli hedefler, önemli atılımlar yapmış olan bir ülke olmakla beraber bugün Maastricht kriterlerinde ki Maastricht kriterleri Avrupa Birliği'nin ekonomik anayasasıdır. Avrupa'nın 23 ülkesinden çok daha iyi konumda bir kamu borçluluğuna ve Avrupa'nın 21 ülkesinden çok daha önemli, efektif bir bütçe açığına sahip. İşsizlik oranımız geçen yıl Avrupa'nın işsizlik oranının daha altında kaldı ve Türkiye her yıl nüfusu 1 milyon artan bir ülke. Her yıl 1 milyon insanın iş hayatına girmiş olduğu bir ülke. Ama tekrar ifade etmek istiyorum ki 2023 projeksiyonumuzda Türkiye'yi dünyanın ilk 10 ekonomisi içine sokmak istiyoruz. Bunun için bir taraftan mevzuatlarımızı, bir taraftan bürokratik yapımızı önemli reformlar yaparken yatırım ve yatırımcı için çok önemli mevzuat değişikliklerini hazırlarken, vergi konusunda önemli değişiklikler yaparken bir taraftan da altyapımızı, lojistiğimizi ve enerji yatırımlarımızı 2023 yılına göre dizayn ediyoruz. Sadece önümüzdeki 10 yılda Türkiye 130 milyar dolarlık enerji yatırımı yapılacak olan bir ülke olmakla beraber Türkiye şu anda demir yolunda da ulaşım alanında da 110 milyar dolar yatırım yapılacak olan bir ülkedir. Yani Türkiye'yi değerlendirirken nüfusuyla beraber ve geçmişteki yaşamış olduğu ekonomik krizlerle beraber değerlendirdiğimiz zaman ben inanıyorum ki çok kısa bir süre içinde Türkiye bu sıralamada böyle beşer onar basamaklarla çıkarak gelecektir. Etkin bir istikrar var. Siyasi anlamda, ekonomik anlamda, hukuk anlamda ve Türkiye bir tabii demokratik ülke olmanın da getirmiş önemli avantajlara sahip. Ama ben bu konuda ilerleyebileceğimizi yapmış olduğumuz çalışmalardan ve kararlılığımızdan dolayı sizlerle çok rahat şekilde paylaşabilirim.
Teşekkürler. Thank you, Minister Caglayan. And I would like to ask you, Minister Kobalia, she is the Economy Minister of Georgia. How do you comment on Georgia ranking 38 on the index, trade index of the WEF Forum? What do you say about that? And how do we use the trade to enhance growth of Georgia, development and improvement of life in the region?
In terms of being the 38th, I believe that we need to do more in order to be in the top 10. This is our goal always. The same thing was being in the top 20 in the World Bank Ease of Doing Business. We are number 16 this year, and our goal is to be in the top 10 in the upcoming years. Why is that important? Because Georgia is a country where we don't have natural resources such as oil and gas, for example, so we have to be very creative about how we develop our sectors of economy, and we have to make sure that all the links and in the value chain of our economy are strong, because just as well as the report mentioned is that your chain is just as strong as the weakest link in the chain. And it's very important to know that if not all the parts of the development are not developing in the similar structure and similar speed, then you're just as weak as the weakest point in your supply chain. So it's important that we highlight often when we talk about development of our economy, diversifying in everything that we do. To us, it's important that all the sectors of economy are diversified, that when we talk about transport and logistics and when we talk about trade, it's just one of the components of our economic development. When we talk about trade, it's important that we make sure that our export potential is just as diversified as well. And when we talk about export markets, that they're also just as diversified to make sure that we're not dependent on one region or another for our export of our products. So what are we doing for sustaining this growth that we have today? Last year we had 7% growth in our economy. The year before we had 6.5% growth. And I truly believe that the main reason was diversification of sectors and fight with corruption in our country, which has boosted confidence for FDI and boosted confidence of local business to reinvest in our economy. So main components on the government side is investing in infrastructure and making sure that basic infrastructure is there in order for business to build on top of this, so to say, railroad and the needs that they have. So what we've done is over the past years, we've invested heavily in roads, highways, rehabilitation of the railroad. We are currently in the process of moving a large portion of the railroad that runs through the center of the capital for the outside of the city to make sure that it's faster and more efficient. And I think one of the most important also components was reforming the customs procedures in the country. What it did is, because we are a transit country and because our economy does depend on transit of goods being the shortest route from Central Asia to Europe for transit of goods, we had to make sure that custom procedures are quick and efficient so that business chooses Georgia as a transit route for their needs. So we realized that there are many components in order to create more efficient custom procedures, and one of them, of course, was the people that work in the customs offices on the borders. So we made sure that we hired new young professionals that are working towards servicing people that go through the customs, and everything is done electronically, so we avoid any unnecessary mistakes or inefficiencies in the process, which all of this led to average time on the borders to pass with any type of goods to 15 minutes. So average of 15 minutes has created, as you can imagine, a lot of efficiency, but also what it has created is we've seen new products such as automobiles, for example, coming up as #1 export product on the list of export products in Georgia, and we don't produce any cars. So what happened is we all of a sudden became a country of re-export of goods, and many of our neighboring countries such as Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, Armenia, they come to Georgia to do their trade. And then they travel back, and many times it's small and medium business, but this is what we want to base our economy on, is that we are a trade hub for our Caucasus region, and so that in order to be a trade hub, we provide efficiency and we provide not only ease of doing business, but also cleanliness of doing business in our country, which has resulted to being 38, but hopefully in upcoming years being in the top 10. But of course, it also means that we have to reform constantly, and this is the key to everything, is updating your system all the time, making sure that you are not happy with what you have today, but implementing new technologies, investing into education, and investing further into infrastructure.
Thank you, Minister Kobalia. As Georgia aspires to be a trade hub, let's hear from the business side what the business side thinks of improving trade in the region. I would like to ask a question to Beat Simon. He's the CEO of Agility, a major logistic company, a European company in the region, but who does lots of business in the region. Mr. Simon, what do you say about improving trade in the region?
Maybe I think I want to elaborate a little bit more on the soft facts. First is the stability of the financial and political environment. I think this is key to success in trades. And if you see it also normally when the environment gets more difficult, governments tend to focus very much on national interests. And especially in these complex environments, I think it's really needed to get a broader view. And I liked very much the elaboration this morning of the Turkish Prime Minister, how he sees the views and how he sees a broader view. And I think that is also the future. Why? You see, for instance, the subprime crisis in the US impacted US, but also European banks, and had substantial impact on consumption in the US and on international trade on the Trans-Pacific, on the transatlantic. You see the government debt crisis we have in Central Europe, whereas especially the South European countries, they overspent for decades and now they have to save. Now, from my perspective, yes, they need austerity, but you still have to grow. So there has to be a balanced view on how you approach savings. Because a big part of the European GDP relates to government spending. Also at the same time, another problem you have is you see the busts of the housing or real estate bubble in Spain. And at the same time, we face problems like in Switzerland, where we are kind of trying to avoid to have a building up of a new bubble. And I think to really top it, at the same time in the Middle East, you have the Arab Spring, which is certainly nice in the midterm, but for the business it's uncertainty. And kind of if to have an overall on that one, political and financial stability is really key to drive growth between the regions. Another one is, of course, consumer confidence. I think it starts with each of us nowadays. If you open the newspaper very early in the morning, it's not exactly positive. So maybe also here would be nice to see more optimism from all the stakeholders. There's so many things happening in Turkey, in Georgia, in the many, many countries. They still have a lot of positive news, but if you open the news, they're mainly focusing on the negative. So I think if people are concerned to lose the job, they're not going to buy a new car, they're not going to go to vacation to Turkey, they're not going to go to Spain or to Greece. So I think confidence next to political and financial stability are key factors. And another one for the business community is, especially for the small and medium-sized companies, access to cash. It is nice if the European Central Bank announces that the interest rates are very low. However, if there is no financing from the banks to the smaller companies, you can have a good product, you can generate a good profit. If you have no working capital, you're not going to do any business. So I think here, definitely, we have to ensure that the money also reaches the smaller companies who really kind of drive the business. Mm-hmm. So I think that is more or less how I see the key soft factors that drive trade. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Mr. Simon. We have one more participant from the business world. Mr. Malas is here with us. He's the CEO of Majid Futtaim Group from United Arab Emirates. His firm is a leading shopping mall retail leisure pioneer across MENA region. Mr. Malas, what are the major challenges of goods distribution in the region, particularly regarding the market access?
I mean, clearly there are many differences across countries, so it's very difficult to generalize. I think if we want to cover some of the major ones, I think there is still an issue around poor infrastructure. And there I would say two major elements typically. It's the logistics centers, which a company like Agility is trying to cover, and others. But there is still a huge demand for improved logistics, which is very important in the supply chain. And that's one factor. The other related infrastructure issue is that of the road and rail infrastructure within the countries, especially landlocked countries, which then have very difficult access to sea and markets. The other aspect which is related is inadequate either port or airport operations, and that's very important. And therefore, it's not very surprising to see, in fact, in the top 5 markets, countries like Singapore, Hong Kong, Dubai, leading the way in terms of having state-of-the-art airport and port facilities, because that is really the role they play on a regional basis. In addition to that, and I think Minister Kobalia covered some of that, I think excessive regulations, or if you like, excessive requirements, clearance requirements are always an issue, and documentation in some of the countries is an issue. In fact, according to the latest IFC bank report, ease of doing business report, the MENA region requires 6.3 documents to actually have an export, while OECD requires 4.4. Similarly, on imports, which is actually quite interesting, is even higher requirement. There you have 7.6 documents in the MENA region, while in OECD countries is 4.8 points. Then you have a very burdensome and time-consuming custom clearance process. And again, there, if we look at the latest statistics, you see that it takes about 19.7 days to export out of MENA region, when that is 10.5 days in the OECD countries. And on imports, it's even higher. It takes 27.6 days to get a whole import transaction in the MENA region, as opposed to 10.7 in OECD. Then you add to it other element which Mr. Simon factored, which are issues around border issues, which sometimes are related to politics, and then you have trucks waiting to cross borders for weeks and weeks, and that's very expensive for business. You have lack of financing. You still have issues also around foreign ownership, especially in the GCC, and that's also a general burden to doing business, but also a burden to facilitating trade and setting up businesses in the region.
Thank you, Mr. Malas. We heard from the three sides, government, business, and academia. I would like to ask you, Inger Andersen, she's the Vice President of Middle East North Africa of World Bank. How can we help civil society, business, and government achieve optimal results of trade in the region?
You know, all of these things, they come together very nicely because although we're talking very different countries, there are certain things that are sort of similar across the board. One thing is, what is this all about? It's about jobs. Jobs, jobs, jobs, jobs, jobs. That's what people want. How are we going to drive those jobs? Well, to get to that, we have to get at growth, right? So what kind of growth is it? And part of that, so what is the growth story going to be? Clearly, trade is very important, and I'll get to that. But also foreign direct investment is absolutely significant, as is the kind of economies that we design, how open, the flexibility that you were talking about, how speedily can you get your things across the border and so on, all these rankings that we all cite. Because it is, of course, an obvious case, if I have access to the cash, if I can move my goods across the border, well, then my economy will grow. So these things come together. And then a story that was an undercurrent of the Arab Spring, of course, was about exclusion or inclusion. Is this just an economy for the few, or is it an economy for everybody? And so, and finally, maybe the skills that we produce in these societies. What kind of skills do we graduate out of universities and colleges? Are they actually the skills that the job market needs? In the Middle East and North Africa, there is a disconnect. The private sector says they can't they can't fill their vacancies, and we all know that in many of the Middle Eastern countries, the more educated you are, the more likely you are to be unemployed. So there is not a skills match here. So when you ask about what we can do, well, on the trade story, there's a very important thing to be done, and part of it deals with this regulatory framework. But we also have economies that are essentially distorted in many of the Middle East and North African countries. So what do I mean by that? Well, in a way, we have in many Middle Eastern countries and North African countries, big government, very big government. 25% on average is the employer of government. Much smaller in comparator countries, around 10, 16%, and so on. So very big government. That distorts the whole thing, and very small manufacturing. So if you have a tiny manufacturing sector, and that's where you have the job-intensive sector, then clearly that's a point. 10% or so is manufacturing in the Middle East. I was looking for Malaysia, for example, 20%. So that's an inverse relationship. So when you look at all of this, it's about the structure of the economy. We also in the Middle East are subsidizing energy very heavily. When you subsidize energy, what tends to happen is that you then drive energy-intensive production lines. These are generally labor poor. Whereas if you tax labor so what's happening with subsidizing energy and taxing labor? So we get labor poor investments, whereas we want labor-rich investments. So there is a story around the whole aspect of the structure of the economy. But then a second point will deal around, and that's in short to your question, civil society. Well, these economies will grow if we have transparency, better governance. The sun is the best disinfectant. And so the more light we throw on things, the better we will have, we will drive down corruption, we will have more open media, people will be accountable, there will be a greater degree of social cohesion. So these are the kind of elements that need to come into play. And I think that whilst we've seen a dip in growth in many of our Middle East and North African countries as they've gone through this transition. When we look at longer term, and you're right, short term we are seeing a little bit of a drop in growth, but longer term this will anchor pluralism, this will anchor a stronger social contract, and then therefore this should anchor the business environment provided these reforms are made that I mentioned.
Well, thank you, Mrs. Andersen. So jobs, jobs, jobs, as you said, trade needs to create jobs, not decrease jobs. And business environment needs confidence level. And the less the documents, the better, of course, as governments work on reforms to promote trade in the region and in their countries. Minister Caglayan, I would like to continue with you. Let's start the second session. How can the region's production and service capabilities fit into the global value chains? What do you say about that in terms of reforms, improving trade in the country, in the region?
Evet, şöyle bir kere tespit etmemiz gerekiyor ki 2008 küresel krizi aslında dünyanın ekonomik ekseninde de bir kayma oluşturdu. Aslında son 10 yıldır dünya ekonomisinde çok farklı gelişmeler var. Bir kere bu bana göre sürecin doğal bir seyriydi. Çünkü geçmiş yıllarda, önceki yıllarda gelişmiş olan ülkeler, gelişmekte olan ülkelere mal satan bir konumdaydı. Yani akımlar kuzeyden güneye giderdi. Ama şimdi bilhassa içinde Orta Doğu'nun, Kuzey Afrika'nın ve Avrasya coğrafyasının olduğu coğrafya bana göre son derece önemli bir coğrafya ve bu noktada dünya ekonomisindeki bilhassa kaymanın, eksen kaymasının gelişmiş ülkelerden gelişmekte olan ülkelere kaydığını görüyoruz. Bundan öncesine kadar gelişmiş olan ülkelerin dünya ekonomisindeki payları %60-65'ler seviyesindeydi. Bugün gelmiş olduğumuz noktada gelişmekte olan ülkelerin, Türkiye'nin de içinde bulunduğu Hindistan, Çin, Brezilya gibi ülkelerin de içinde olmuş olduğu ülkeler şimdi dünya ekonomisinde gelişmiş olan ülkelerle hemen hemen eşit seviyede dünya ticaretine söz sahibi ve hakimler. Ama gelecek 10 yıl gelişmekte olan ülkelerin dünya ticaretinden %60'lar üzerinde pay alacağı öngörüsüyle şu anda görüşülüyor ve diğer taraftan bilhassa Türkiye'nin içinde bulunduğu bölgeyi iyi bir incelemek lazım. Türkiye ifade ettiğim gibi 4 saatlik uçuş mesafesinde 56 ülkenin olduğu bir coğrafyada. Ve bu 56 ülkenin olduğu bu coğrafyada tüketim kalıpları, tüketim alışkanlıkları, üretim kabiliyetleri, ekonominin genel seyrinde çok ciddi değişiklikler var. Bilhassa biz komşularımızla, Kuzey Afrika'yla, Orta Doğu'yla ve Avrasya ekonomisiyle ki 17 yıldır gümrük birliği anlaşması yapmış olduğumuz Avrupa'yla ticaretimizi her geçen yıl arttırıyoruz. Ancak Türkiye, Avrupa'nın içinde bulunduğu ekonomik krizin getirmiş olduğu talep daralmasıyla ihracatımızın Avrupa içindeki payı geçen yıl %46 iken bu yıl %41'ler seviyesine düşmüş olmasına rağmen Cumhuriyet tarihimizin en yüksek ihracatını yapmaya devam ediyoruz. Ve geçen yıl 135 milyar dolar mal ihracatı yapan, 40 milyar dolar da hizmet ihracatı yapan bir ülkeyiz. Şu an itibariyle son 12 aylık Türkiye ihracatı, mal ihracatı 140,5 milyar doları geçmiştir. Burada Türkiye'nin bilhassa içinde bulunduğu bu bölgenin gerek tarihi kültürel bağlarımız, gerek bilhassa ırki ve dini bağlantılarımızın olması, hemen hemen birçok ülkenin aynı kökten geliyor olmamız ve Türkiye'de siyasi istikrarın 2002'den sonra sağlanmış olması, bilhassa bölgesinde barış ve huzuru isteyen ve bunu önemseyen bir anlayışa hakim olması, bir kere Türkiye'yi bölgede son derece önemli bir konuma getirmiştir. Bakın New York'tan Seattle'a 5 saatte gidebilirken, Türkiye'den 4 saatlik uçuş mesafesinde 56 ülkeye gidebiliyorsunuz. Bunun içinde Kuzey Afrika'da, Orta Doğu'da, Avrupa'da ve Avrasya coğrafyasının da olduğunu dikkatine getirmek isterim. Ve bu coğrafyada 1,5 milyar insan yaşıyor. Bu coğrafyada dünya milli gelirinin 1/3 oluşturuluyor. Ve bu coğrafya toplam dünya ticaretinden, ithalatından %46 pay alıyor. Yani 8,5 trilyon dolarlık ithalat bu bölgede yapılıyor. Bizim Afrika ile olan ticaretimiz bundan 8 yıl önce bugün gelmiş olduğu seviyeye baktığımız zaman yaklaşık 5 kattan fazla artmıştır. Bugün Türkiye'nin Afrika ile olan ticaret hacmi yaklaşık 20 milyar dolara yaklaşmıştır. Komşularla ticaretimiz bundan 8 yıl öncesinin 4 katından fazla artar bir hale gelmiştir. Ki nitekim bunu gerek Avrupa gerek diğer ülkelerde görmek mümkün. Çünkü günümüz dünyasında sanayinin içinden gelen biri olarak bir kere üretimin çok ani operasyonlarla yapılması gerektiğini, yani just in time üretimde olmazsa olmaz olduğunu bilinciyle en yakın tedarik merkezi olmanız sizi bir kere bölgede son derece önemli hale getiriyor. Diğer yandan Türkiye'nin de içinde bulunduğu bahsettiğimiz coğrafyada, ki buna biraz daha belki Asya Pasifik'e doğru götürürsek, bu coğrafyada önümüzdeki 10 yılda 1 milyara yakın insan düşük gelirli gruptan, insan grubundan orta gelirli bir insan grubuna transfer olacak. Yani bu insanların tüketim kalıpları ve tüketim ihtiyaçları değişecek. Türkiye sadece mal ticareti değil, hizmet ticaretinde de son derece önemli bir oyuncu. Bakın Türkiye'ye geçtiğimiz yıl 31,5 milyon turist geldi. Ve Türkiye tarihinde ilk defa 23 milyar dolar turizm geliri elde etti. Ve Türkiye bu başarıyla dünyanın 6. büyük, Avrupa'nın 4. büyük turizm destinasyonu oldu. Yine aynı şekilde bugün Türkiye sağlık turizminde ve sağlık sektöründe çok iddialı bir şekilde her geçen gün başarısı artan bir ülke. Bugün Avrupa'nın bilhassa yaşlanmış nüfusu ve Avrupa'daki sağlık sisteminin bilhassa sosyal güvenlik sisteminin içinde bulunduğu ciddi sıkıntılar, çok uzun süreli hastaların bekleme süresi ve bu konuda Avrupa'nın birçok ülkesinin içinde bulunduğu ekonomik sıkıntılar ister istemez Türkiye'yi sağlık alanında çok önemli bir konuma getiriyor. Şimdi biz sağlık turizmi konusunda da önemli açılımlar yapıyoruz. Türkiye şu anda 170 üniversiteye sahip. Gerek özel sektör, vakıf gerek devlet üniversitesi olarak. Ve her yıl 700 bin gencimiz üniversitelerden mezun oluyor. Üniversitelerimizde de ciddi manada Türkiye dışından gelen gençlerin okuduğu bir yapıya sahibiz. Diğer yandan müteahhitlik sektöründe Türkiye dünyada Çin'den sonra Sayın Başbakanımız da bugün ifade ettiler. Dünyanın 2. büyük müteahhitlik ülkesi. Her yıl yapılan 225 uluslararası müteahhitlik firması içinde firmalarımız 30'un üzerinde firmayla her yıl yer alıyorlar. Ve bu yılda, yani geçtiğimiz yılda 31 Türk firması 225 uluslararası müteahhit firma içinde Çin'in hemen arkasından dünya ikincisi oldu. Türkiye, bakın 94 ülkede 6511 projede 211 milyar dolardan fazla havaalanları, köprüler, üst yapılar, alt geçitler, metro inşaatları başta olmak üzere dünyanın her yerinde çok önemli müteahhitlik hizmetleri yapmaya başladı. Mühendislik, müşavirlik hizmetleri yapmaya başladık. Ama asıl önemlisi biz tüm dünyada yapmış olduğumuz bu müteahhitlik hizmetlerinin neredeyse yarıya yakınını Kuzey Afrika ki Libya bilhassa bu konuda son derece önemli ve Orta Doğu'da gerçekleştirirken yine yapmış olduğumuz müteahhitlik hizmetlerinde çok önemli bir rakam ki yaklaşık 35 milyar dolar üzerinde bir rakamı da Rusya Federasyonu ve o coğrafyadaki ülkelerde yaptık. Yani bilhassa bölgemizle olan ilişkilerimiz son derece önemli. Bölgenin her geçen gün giderek artan zenginliği ama bunun yanı sıra önemli bir yeni bir devrime girildiği, yeni bir değişim ve dönüşümün yaşandığı demokratik zenginliğin de olmasıyla beraber bölge hem ekonomik anlamda hem demokratik anlamda önemli bir konuma gelecek. Yani içinde bulunduğumuz coğrafya bilhassa Kuzey Afrika ve Orta Doğu coğrafyasında insanların sadece maddi zenginliklerden memnun olmadığı, demokratik zenginliklerin de istediği ve Arap Baharı ile beraber başlayan değişim ve dönüşüm etrafımızdaki ülkeleri çok da önemli hale getirecek. Bir önceki konuyla ilgili tek bir cümle etmek istiyorum. Tabii Türkiye'nin bu Dünya Bankası'nın iş yapılabilirlik sıralamasındaki yerinde bilhassa gümrük konuları herkes tarafından dile getirilen bir husus. Bu noktada tabii Türkiye 436 milyar dolarlık bir dış ticaret hacmine sahip. Ve 772 milyar dolar da geçen yıl milli gelir olan bir ülkeydi. Bilhassa gümrükle ilgili ilişkilerde sizin ülkenizin gümrüklerinin çok iyi olması tek başına yetmez. Sizin çevrenizdeki ülkelerin gümrük konusundaki ne derece gelişmiş oldukları da bu konuda son derece önemli, belirleyicidir. Sizin ülkenizin gümrükleri fevkalade gelişmiş olabilir. Ama sizin ülkenize dışarıdan gelen ürünlerde sizinle komşu olan ülkelerdeki gümrük konusundaki engeller de bu konuda önemli. Yani burada yapılan çalışmaları sadece ülke bazlı bir çalışma olarak değerlendirirsek bu bir eksik bakış olur. Bunu 5 yıldır bakanlık yapan biri olarak ve diğer taraftan 27 yıl sanayicilik yapmış biri olarak söylüyorum ama son olarak söyleyeceğim cümle, evet, bölgemiz son derece önemli. Gerek ekonomik gelişimin gerek sosyal gelişimin artarak devam edeceği bir yönde ve Türkiye bölgesinde barışın, huzurun tesis edilmesinde önemli bir rol ve talep içindeyken ekonomik anlamda da tam bir entegrasyondan yana ve komşularımızda daha fazla iş, daha fazla ticaret yapalım istiyoruz. Amerika'da Purdue Üniversitesi yapmış olduğu bir araştırmada dünya ticaretinin %25'inin komşular arasında yapıldığını sonucunu ortaya koymuş. Bu noktada bizim de komşu ülkeler, çevre ülkeler stratejisi Kuzey Afrika ve bilhassa Avrasya coğrafyasında önemli stratejilerimiz, ümit ediyorum ki bu coğrafyadaki ekonomik kalkınmayı, birlikte kalkınmayı çok daha çabuk sağlayacak. Sadece mesele Türkiye'nin değil, bölgenin kalkınmasında alınacak olan rol de son derece önemlidir.
Thank you, Minister Caglayan. Let's ask to our neighbor, Minister Kobalia, what would you like to add on the issue? How can the region's production and service capabilities fit into the overall global value chain?
I just wanted to add a few points that were mentioned earlier in the discussion. One, I believe that education is a very big part of everything that we're talking about, because it was mentioned earlier that it's important that we have skills matching in everything that we do, and this is what we're seeing in Georgia is a good example. What happened in the 90s is we had a lot of students that were choosing professions such as legal or economics or medical, which are all very important professions, but we ended up with no skilled labor, and we ended up without a strong skill pool of people with technical education. So what we've realized that we need to do more as government to encourage students to make the right choices for their future life, to make sure that they choose professions where they can be employed in the future and choose professions where they can be a part of our growing economy. Because what is happening in a lot of sectors today in Georgia is you look at the construction sector or you look at the agro sector, we are lacking skilled professionals, even though we still have high unemployment rate. So what we've done is we've done a lot of education back into the high schools, on the high school level, talking with students and encouraging them to choose technical education. We're working with MCC right now, with the Millennium Challenge Corporation, on the future project of the American Technical University in Georgia to make sure that there is more opportunities for students to choose the right technical education. And what we've seen is last year, technical education was the first choice of students in comparison to the years before. So this is already a result where in 5-10 years we're going to have the labor pool strong enough with technical and also high tech education where we can support the type of investment that we're doing in the development of these sectors. And the second point I wanted to touch upon is also that my colleague mentioned is in terms of the relationships that you have and the agreements that you have with your neighboring countries. We have a free trade agreement with Turkey, which has resulted in huge trade turnover for our country between Turkey and Georgia. Turkey is our #1 trade partner, and in a large portion to the result because we have efficiency but on the border, but also because we have these type of agreements. And for example, example, you don't need a passport to travel between the borders. So it's easy for people to make business, and it's easy for people to travel between our two countries. As an example, also last year, at the end of 2010, we signed an open air agreement with the EU, which is an agreement that allowed any airline, European airline, to fly without any restrictions to Georgia, which resulted in doubling the number of airlines that fly today to Georgia, resulted in the need of construction of a new airport in the next to the second largest city of Georgia, and attraction of low-budget airlines, which automatically increased number of tourists and increased number of business and trade that happens in the country. So having these type of legal agreements between neighboring countries, and as Minister mentioned, 25% of trade happens between your neighboring countries. So it's important that you make sure that the legal arrangements are strong, that you have efficiency in the system itself, the bureaucracy is on the minimum level as possible, and that you, for the long term, invest into the education of your society.
Thank you, Minister Kobalia. As trade agreements between neighboring countries help increase trade, but I would like to address the second question. How do the agreements work on the ground? Maybe, Mr. Simon, you would like to elaborate a little bit on that.
Well, once those agreements are in place, we normally evaluate the business opportunities, and we do that in a way by bringing own people on the ground, and then we first understand the local rules, habits, and regulations. Having done that, we kind of consider what is the investment needs, and normally we either buy a company, or we partner with somebody who has local know-how, or we go greenfield. Now, each of the different ways to enter has its pros and cons. In a way, if you buy a company, especially in emerging markets, you have sometimes surprises on certain regulatory activities. When you bought the company, you want to integrate it. But on the positive, you already have a market understanding. Immediately you buy kind of a customer base, you buy know-how. If you partner, that's also we did, only to give you a figure, we bought in the last 10 years about 40 companies worldwide. So if you partner, I think that's for us also, we use in some markets where we are sure that our progress in the local market will be faster if you go together with a local entrepreneur or who somebody already has a certain infrastructure know-how in the market. Then the other one is greenfield, where we decide to start it from scratch. Now that's kind of a slower process because you start to invest in local resources. The advantage is you can bring your own systems in. So if you have global operating systems, global finance systems, you start it from scratch, go slower, but you're sure that you have a sound base, and you have in this area you have less struggle. So in a way that's how we get those things then on the ground.
Thank you. Interesting points. Let's open it up for questions. Please identify yourselves and your company if you have a question. Yes, please.
Saleh Al-Husseini from Saudi Arabia, MP. I think we have on one side, for example, the GCC total import is 260 billion. It's a good trade in the region. On the other hand, when you look at the region, you will find Algeria, Libya, Sudan, Somalia, Yemen, Iraq, Syria, Palestine. They are totally outside the trade system, the global trade system. They are not part of the WTO. And this is a critical question to develop this. On the other hand, you see the GCC total import is 260, is equivalent to the total import of India, which is a big market. Thank you.
And this is for who?
Anybody can.
Anybody who would like to answer, I guess.
Maybe, okay, please go ahead.
No, I think the point is very well taken that success requires integration into the world economy, and the exercise of actually joining something like the World Trade Organization is very painful for countries, but also requires them to reevaluate the strategies which they've been following. And Saudi Arabia went through quite a very painful process for quite a long time, but I think it was all to the good. So I think other countries that still have not even acceded to the WTO, which is sort of a minimal standard, really have to get in line, because that's just the first step in getting trade policies in order. We've elaborated on the many other things that have to also work on the ground, but nonetheless it is a precondition. So I think the question is very well taken.
And Mrs. Andersen, would you like to add something?
Yeah, just to add that in a sense, you know, you do have in this world the trade haves and the trade have-nots. And I think that that's what the question is highlighting. And maybe there is a lesson here for us to reflect on for the Middle East and North Africa region, because parameters have shifted. What was yesterday is not today and tomorrow. We're no longer just trading services or commodities, we're trading tasks. Services even is of yesterday, right? We're trading tasks. And so we're no longer looking at the Moroccan factory, the Sudanese factory. We're looking at the Asian factory. A thing is produced one place, assembled another, moved, added value in a third place, and so on. And the whole thing is integrated with the logistics that you were talking about. And so there is a mindset switch that as these borders have now come down in many of the Middle East and North Africa region, as we're no longer talking of countries that are connected on a continent but speaking as islands, as we're talking about integration, well, that's where opportunities will become possible. So I think you're putting very much your finger on the issue here, that how to drive that greater integration. WTO is a long trip and a long journey, and one that countries have embarked upon with great gain. Some of those that were mentioned, the example may not be the first ones that might line up in that line, but beginning to figure out what is it that you do behind the border. What do you need to do on your photosanitary, on your sanitary, on your norms, on your customs, on your regulatory framework? All of that stuff will be good in the long run to ensure that you can then move more positively and with greater gain into the global markets.
As you say, Mrs. Andersen, it's a good point. There is a need for greater integration, and what do we need to do beyond the border? That's what we need to think about, I believe. Minister Caglayan, do you have a point to add?
Evet, ben de bir şeyler eklemek istiyorum. Şöyle ki, Türkiye Dünya Ticaret Örgütü'nün kurucusu olan bir ülke ve 3 yıldır Dünya Ticaret Örgütü'nün yapmış olduğu toplantılara bizzat ben ve ekibim çok aktif katılım sağlıyoruz. Dünya Ticaret Örgütü'nün her toplantısında ifade etmiş olduğum husus, bugün Dünya Ticaret Örgütü'ne üye olmamış ve Dünya Ticaret Örgütü'nün belirlemiş olduğu kuralların dışında hareket etmek durumunda olan ülkeleri de bir şekilde Dünya Ticaret Örgütü'nde üyeliğinin sağlanması gerekiyor. Ben arkadaşımın gerçekten sorusunu fazlasıyla önemsiyorum. Ve bu noktada bilhassa Orta Doğu'da, Kuzey Afrika'da ve Avrasya coğrafyasında ihracatının, üretiminin daha fazlasını bu bölgede yoğunlaştırmış olan bir Türkiye olarak tabii ki birlikte iş yapmış olduğumuz ülkelerin Dünya Ticaret Örgütü kurallarına entegre olması bir kere kendi ülkem adına son derece bunu önemli görürken bir haksız rekabet unsuru ortaya çıkartmamasını sağlamak adına bunu önemli görürken Dünya Ticaret Örgütü'ne şu anda üyelik sürecinde olan veya şu anda üyelik için başvurmasa dahi o bölgedeki ve diğer bölgelerdeki birçok ülkenin de geçiş maliyetlerinin bir şekilde sağlanarak bu ülkelere gerekli reformları yapacak, gerekli düzenlemeleri yapacak belli bir süre ve bunun maliyetlerinin de bir şekilde karşılanarak bu ülkelerin de mutlak surette bu kuralın içine sokulması gerekiyor. Yani bir futbol maçına çıkıyorsunuz. Siz bir ülke olarak Dünya Ticaret Örgütü'ne üyesiniz. UEFA kurallarına göre oynuyorsunuz. Ama diğer karşınızdaki rakip Dünya Ticaret Örgütü'ne üye değil ve UEFA kuralları onun için geçerli değil. Şimdi nasıl bir maç yapacaksınız? Bu karşılaşma nasıl olacak? Bu karşılaşmada kurallar neye göre çalışacak? Bu noktada Dünya Ticaret Örgütü'nün her toplantısında ben bu işin Türkiye'deki görevlisi bakan olarak mutlak surette Dünya Ticaret Örgütü'ne üye olamamış olan ülkelerin mutlaka sistem için entegrasyonu önemsiyorum. Örneğin Rusya Federasyonu'nun bu yıl yapılan törenle Dünya Ticaret Örgütü üyesi olması son derece önemsiyorum. Ve diğer taraftan da Dünya Ticaret Örgütü'nde bazı ülkelerin yapmış olduğu engellemelerin de aslında bir an önce normalleşme sürecine girerek bu konuda çok önemli yapacağı çalışmalar olduğunu inanıyorum. Maalesef küresel krizler ülkelerde aşırı korumacılık refleksini geliştirebiliyor. Ülkeler ister istemez özel sektöründe gelen baskısıyla çok aşırı korumacılığa girebiliyor. Ama Dünya Ticaret Örgütü'nde bu kuralların nasıl olduğu, korumacılığın nasıl yapılacağı çok net bellidir ve Türkiye olarak biz de sonuna kadar ticareti serbestleştirmesinden yana tavır almış olan bir ülkeyiz.
We're in the last 5 minutes, so we have just one question. We can take one more question, a brief question, please.
Hello?
No? If there...
Hello?
Please.
Hi. My name is Ravi Subramanian. I'm a global shaper from Mumbai. I have a question for Mr. Kobalia. You said, Georgia lacks, you said Georgia lacks, certain skills, which need to be addressed. And in any economy, it's actually the small and medium enterprises which create jobs. So are you taking any policy measures to incentivize, SMEs from outside to actually come and set up business in Georgia?
Absolutely. That's a good question because we believe that our economy should be based on small and medium business, and this would be the right way to build a sustainable economy for years to come. In terms of attracting small and medium business from other countries, we are very open. As I said, we are a small country with a small market, so it makes sense for us to have an open market economy. And in terms of privatization of real estate or land, it's the same rules and regulations for foreign investors as it is for local businesses in Georgia. So it's basically as open as it could be. We have small and medium businesses investing from Asia, including from India, in different business sectors, including the ICT sector. With the data centers and call centers right now, it's becoming more and more increasing business opportunity. Also, in terms of the agricultural sector, there has been a lot of movement because we believe in order to increase the levels, right now, agricultural sector is probably the one sector that's lagging behind in Georgia. So we are attracting new technologies to the sector, and we believe in countries where this sector is developed and where new technologies have been implemented for years to come are a good example where businesses from those countries can come and invest in Georgia and build on the productivity levels and build on the opportunities that are available. You can see that in Georgia, more than 40% of the population is involved in the agricultural sector, but it's only 9% to GDP. So there's a huge opportunity in this sector with different crops growing and export markets available in our neighboring countries. So the country is open for all types of foreign investments, and it's open including in the agricultural sector.
Minister Kobalia,
Sure.
Thank you so much for your insights. Thank you all. I would like to thank all of our panelists. It was a great session, and let's clap for our panelists. Thank you.
You're welcome to Georgia. That was